Hi, welcome back to another episode of Geekified. It has been the talk of the last 2 months. It has been on every bit of social media, and it's probably one of the only decent shows that's happened for a while, but it seems to be a bit of a divisive finale where everybody's all over the place with it, according to social media, and it is Wandavision. So it's Friday evening. I've seen it. Nathan's seen it. Tony's seen it. And we're here for a quick discussion to see what we all thought about it and what happened. And I'm confused because I think I'm slightly one that's a bit off kilter of how we felt. But so, hi Nathan.
Hello.
And hi Tony.
Hello.
Yeah, here we go. So I won't say what I thought, although I've spoke to both of these guys today, so I know exactly how I feel about it. So, Nathan, somebody, what do you think?
It was okay. The whole series was okay. I thought last week's episode was probably the strongest episode in the whole thing. The whole thing felt to me a bit like a 2.5 hour film that was stretched out into about 5 hours. I thought it was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular. I thought that Agatha Harkness was defeated fairly easily in the end, which was and even Weird White Vision was a bit sort of, that was quite an easy way of defeating him. That was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, I just felt, and I could kind of see it during it, that it's kind of like they didn't have ideas for. It's kind of like they shot themselves in the foot with how many characters they had going on and so many subplots going on that they had to tie everyone up. And I kind of really felt that the last episode was rushed for that reason. There was, we need to tie Quicksilver, or who is Quicksilver, tie that off. We need to, this is going on. Oh, but what's happening with Rambo and, Quicksilver? Oh, this is what's happening. And it's just like, I think there was far too much going on, in the episode. And like Nathan said, it was like, okay, it was kind of like they were in a room and they're like, okay, so if Agatha and Scarlet Witch are fighting, surely Vision would step in. Oh, we need Vision to be busy with someone else. Okay, let's just create White Vision sort of thing. It's kind of like problems creating more problems for them to tie up. But did I enjoy the episode? Yes, I loved it. But I agree with Nathan. The last episode was the best. So they kind of peaked then.
Yeah, so I'm probably a little bit outside of that box of how you are feeling, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. I think I wasn't looking for anything to be complete. I was not expecting anything to be tied up. So I was expecting a lot of loose ends at the end of this, where I think everyone else seems to think that everything should have tied up for them, for what they were expecting from the show. I was expecting they tied up probably a bit more. I was expecting Agatha to still be kicking about at the end of this. I think Nathan, you said that she was defeated a bit easily. I think you said. I think she was. Yeah, I think that it seems to be the consensus of everybody on social media as well. She was the key character, and Catherine Ham did a performance of her life in this. It was brilliant. It was that kind of slightly campy, over the top, but then a bit of a hard as nails witch when it came down to it, and a little bit scary at the moments when she needed to be scary. She was actually quite fearful. But yeah, she was defeated a little bit too easily. I think that's one thing I definitely agree with, and that was one of the things that I didn't think would be tied up. And that was one of the things that was tied up. So I thought she would be an overarching mentor to Wanda the way she is in the comics, but she wasn't.
Is it though tied up though? That's the thing though, because again, they were creating so many problems, because obviously at the end we seen Scarlet Witch put the spell to put her back in to the role that she was playing, but due to the hex closing up, surely when the hex went past over Agatha playing that character, she would have been back to Agatha, surely?
It depends. I thought she put an individual spell on Agatha.
That's Marvel again not being clear. We went over with the problems that they have with their certain characters having variation in powers over time or weaker sometimes to win a battle. Again, it's Marvel dropping the ball when it comes to the rules of the Hex.
Mm-hmm. And she did make the point that she might go back to speak to her again, didn't she, as well, Wanda?
Yeah.
Agatha,
yeah.
so
as far as I'm aware,
they didn't tie up the thing with the rabbit either, did they? So
yeah. Yeah, I didn't really see that. As far as I was aware, the runes that were on the Hex were so that she could win in the fight, but the spell that she cast on her was just a spell that she put on her. That was as far as, so even if the Hex was or wasn't there, she was still going to be under her spell for that.
Okay.
I don't know what my cat's pulling something. Did alone. Anyway, so yeah, so that was one of the things that was, for me, was quite unexpected. I thought we were going to see a lot more of her, but like you're saying, you might end up going back to her. But as a whole, everything that happened, I was kind of expecting. Everything was kind of, I think you made a point, Nathan, about being no cameos. So
I said that all along. I think I quite like that, and I like it that they kept on hinting at there was going, even in this episode, Agatha Harkness talks about the Sorcerer Supreme. You're like, well, it's definitely Doctor Strange coming in here at some point then, and then he never did, and obviously all this stuff with Quicksilver and all that, and then Paul Bettany with the biggest bit of Marvel trolling in history as well.
Yeah. I've got a funny feeling this is going to go down and for a long time. Like, people are going to discuss this for a long time as trolling, because I think you can't do that to fanboys, because they're never going to forget.
A lot of hatred on Twitter today for him. A lot of hatred on Twitter.
Yeah, but in saying that, it's kind of fool us, maybe finally over 10, 12, 13 years of Marvel, been watching Marvel, films, and I'm probably one of the biggest to hold up my hand and go, I always hype things up and I always go theory mad. And maybe this is
your own theme song.
Yeah. So yeah, Paul Bettany has taught me a lesson, and thank you, Paul. I'm no longer gonna hype up Marvel theories ever again due to him. And I might enjoy, I enjoy them all the time because it's Marvel, but I'm definitely going to be a little bit weary and go, okay. And then, when it does happen, I'll be, oh my God.
I think when we were recording earlier on, because obviously we've got an episode of us, me and Tony, live reaction to the episode that will come up after this. But when we were recording, I did say at the end, I was like, this feels like a lesson for fanboys, as if the whole show has literally been, stop it. Stop it. Just enjoy the TV show and enjoy what we are writing for you.
I feel like they listened to me. That's
you, Nathan, is you.
I said you don't need to have all these other characters in it and stuff. Just have it as a standalone story, which is, I know they tied in bits of it, and I was almost right about Monica Rambeau being a Krull or a Kree or whatever it's fucking called as well. Almost right with that. They've obviously set up Secret Invasion now with that, and then possibly the next Captain Marvel film as well. And then the bit at the end, I wasn't really quite sure. Obviously, you heard Speed and Wiccan talking in in her cabin. You heard their voices. So are they still alive in some weird realm somewhere or something? So
yeah. So I mean, to go on to the end of it, like I get the first one is obviously just a complete tie-in to either Captain Marvel 2 or Secret Invasion. We're getting them. We know that anyway, so that wasn't really much of a surprise. But who even was she? Who was that woman? It would have been a wee bit more interesting if they actually used somebody else, like we'd seen through the show, because we hadn't seen her, had we?
Yeah, it would have been cool to use maybe one of the Skrulls that we'd seen in Captain Marvel.
Aye, but even the woman who turned into the Skrull, like maybe even just use someone who's been on set rather than giving us a complete and utter new person. That was a bit strange.
Unless going back to this is my Rolodex, you know how the young daughter who they saved, the Skrull, that he was the family. If that's meant to be her, they should have. That would have been nice. Or I don't know how they highlight that, her being,
Sorry, I'm just going to. I need to sound. There's a new button on my desk. It's called the theory klaxon. We just did another couple of theories there. So the klaxon has officially went off.
Yeah.
So-
Paul Bettany.
I'll do it in the video. Probably Paul Bettany head up going, "Oh no, stop it,
No.
Downey, stop it."
Yeah. But yeah.
So the other one, right? So this leads us to the end of what we've seen. So that was the Darkhold. It was the book that was missing from Doctor Strange. We discussed it. Now the Darkhold. I don't know if you guys seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Right. So the Darkhold turns up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and life model decoy, an LMD called what's it, Anya or Arya. She gets to read it and then basically it becomes psycho villain. You can't read the Darkhold, you can't touch it, you can't deal with it. It is pure, unadulterated evil. Now Scarlet Witch has got it. So I'm assuming the same rules apply from what was in Doctor Strange and her reading it. She's obviously
I will say one thing. I'm sure, I may be wrong, comments if I am wrong. I'm sure they did come out and say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer canon for Marvel.
They did, yeah.
On certain episodes. So they're like, yeah. But yeah, you should again please stick to the same rules that you can't touch. Because apparently the Sorcerer Supreme, had apparently took some powers, and that's why she could, that's why she was so old. That she was able to, yeah.
So I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this, because the Darkhold is tied into so many different. It's tied as Ghost Rider. It's a massive part of the Ghost Rider stuff. So is that a kind of nod that we're going to end up getting cast? Because we know for a fact, I'm really going out here now, we know for a fact that Keanu Reeves has been in talks with the MCU for a long time. People believe that he has made the deal. He's just not. We're not at the stage of getting the movie. And if there's any character that I can imagine Keanu Reeves playing, it is bloody Ghost Rider.
I could see Keanu Reeves being a bad guy.
Well, Ghost Rider kind of is
anti-hero, isn't he? I suppose.
Yeah, Ghost Rider is not a good. He's not a good guy. And then, I mean, like if you look at some of the stories in the comics, he's pretty bad. Doesn't do all good. He's kind of very much an anti-hero.
Well, maybe
where are we going to go?
Marvel are heading now.
Yeah. So where do you think what's going to happen next? We've not had our big bad. We've not had a new villain. We've not had the mutants. We've not had anything that we discussed. Like anything that we discussed. We've just closed the origin story of the Scarlet Witch. Yeah, Nathan's loving this. So we've had the origin of the Scarlet Witch. So that's really what WandaVision was. So where are we going to go next? What's going to happen next? What do you think is going to happen in the general direction of the MCU?
There's still that hint that Wanda / Scarlet Witch could turn into a baddie in this as well. I mean, there's bits in it where you when the rage seems to come over her, and you can see that because through this, I think Wanda was sort of through parts of it. Wanda was the bad guy in this. I didn't really understand why. The head of Sword or Shield, whatever it was called, why he was arrested at the end. What was that for? Why?
I think I don't think we know. We don't fully. I think that's one of the ones that I believe him was untied. So he's obviously working for somebody.
Yeah, I didn't understand that really. And yeah, so it was. I think it's gonna. Do you not think though the end credit scene with Scarlet Witch, that cabin, it looked almost like Hansel and Gretel type cabin. It was like a proper like witchy little cabin up in the forest. It was a bit bizarre. I didn't. So there was obviously her standing outside, and then Scarlet Witch like trapped in a mirror sort of thing inside. I didn't really understand what that was either.
Yeah, so that's it. Kind of goes back to Doctor Strange with his film. He used his astral form to be able to study multiple books at the same time, so he quickly. So again, that is now evidence that she is a sorcerer / in that world, witches, sorcerers, and stuff like that. So, and we know how advanced and how quickly Doctor Strange came by doing that. So we now know that she's going to be, if not on par, the most powerful sorcerer. Yeah.
So I did say this was one of my theories about WandaVision right at the start. I'm calling it. I did say that I think Wanda is going to be the big bad, and I've got a funny feeling after that last bit, Wanda is the big bad.
Yeah, which is kind of good. It's I think this is where the Marvel are going to. We said those anti-heroes. We kind of love Loki. He's good and bad, at the same time. If we're getting Ghost Rider, is bad but kind of good sometimes.
We're getting Blade as well,
Blade is
Blade
the same.
well,
These are all
good,
the same
bad,
guys.
same. So, which is exciting because it's, even though we love Iron Man and Captain America, clearly on the good side all the time. It's kind of good people to, kind of like Thanos, even though we like Thanos because the reason what he was doing, we could kind of agree of why he was doing it in a way. Not the methods, to get the result that he wanted, but his reasoning behind things. And I think the strongest villains, the strongest characters is when we have a true reasoning of why they're doing something.
See, I always thought Thanos was just a bit stupid. Why didn't he just snap into existence more shit for people to eat on another planet across the other universe?
That's true. If he could create planets, just create some more.
He can do whatever he like with a fucking glove, and he decided just to kill half people. I was like, you're a bit thick, mate. You just snap more food and veg and extra couple of shops from the corner for people to go to.
And that planet he was on at the end of Infinity War and start of Endgame was huge. There's no one lived there. Just put them all there.
I know. It's true.
Just get a Starbucks. Open a Starbucks like that. Like that out of a Starbucks. See what I did there?
Star-Lord is part God. Just get him to help him.
Right. We diverse. So I've got one more. Right, so out of 10, what are we giving it? For me, I'm going to say I'm giving it a solid 8.
Is this the whole season or just
whole season?
Whole season.
6 out of 10.
6.
Ooh.
I thought the start didn't. It's the first 3 episodes I didn't really like that much, and it got better second half. But I thought the ending was a little bit weak, and a bit too soppy for me. But there was some very good. But I thought episode 8 was phenomenal. But I think the whole overall is about 6. I mean, I was watching it today, but it wasn't grabbing my attention, as it were.
Yeah.
I'll split the difference. I'll go for a 7.
7.
But with the potential to be amazing. It could have been really good.
Yeah, solid 8 from me. I'm tempted to give it another 0.5, but I won't because I feel we could have done a wee bit more. Like I think that last episode definitely felt rushed. But last question. Sorry.
It definitely is set up. I mean, there was talk of whether it was going to be a second season of it. I think if it's a second season, it won't be called WandaVision. It'll be called Scarlet Witch or something, but it'll maybe be a continuation of the story possibly. But then if she's in Doctor Strange and apparently quite a main part in it, from what I've read in Multiverse of Nonsense, Madness, sorry, not nonsense, then maybe that's where they'll carry on that story.
Yeah. So my final question to you is the biggest thing that we discussed across WandaVision, I think it was the biggest thing that was discussed across bloody every social media platform, mutants. This was the in. This seemed to be the in for every Marvel fan. We seemed to be like, how do you introduce the mutants into the MCU? Scarlet Witch can create anything. She's going to be part of the multiverse. We thought it was going to be here. So what's the call? What do we think is going to happen? Where are we going to get the mutants from now?
Well, I think I was reading an article saying that, the earliest we'll possibly see an X-Men type film is going to be like the end of this decade because of the way that the slate's out there up until about 2026, I think. So it can be at any point now it can bring in, and purely with a multiverse thing or whatever, that'd be the easiest way to bring it in now.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think?
Well, yeah, like we thought that was the birth of mutants, that radiation from the Hex, does, changes your DNA, and again, I think they just need to keep clear with the rules, is the rules that you need to be one of the people who blipped back and then have this radiation done to you, or is that why, it is? Or all the people from Westview, are they now technically got mutant DNA slightly? It's, I think they missed a trick. And again, it's kind of like the set up stuff. And in this episode, they went, nah, we'll just scrap that. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's where my 2 points are.
Unless, and I will kind of be disappointed slightly if it is Doctor Strange, and I would love her to be the villain, kind of good / anti-hero villain. Doctor Strange going, look, you can't be doing this, Wanda. But if she creates another Hex around the world, I'll be like, oh, well, it's WandaVision all over again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it should have, to me, that would have been perfect if at the end she made the hex all around the world when she turned into Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
That's what I think should have happened. Then we would have went, right, that's what's happening. But they kind of went, no, we're going to go back.
In the comics, is Photon Monica Rambeau, is she a mutant or is she just a person with powers?
She's got a very complicated. Yeah, she's got powers, but she's powers, but she's got a very complicated past in terms of names.
Yeah, there's a bit of aliases she used.
Because I thought, because obviously she's been, what's happened to her from going in and out of the hex a few times on the blips of what's given her her powers. So maybe that would have tied in, but if that's not the origin story, then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so I think kind of. I think there was one story where she had an accident with an energy source or something. Yeah, in one variation. But she actually, if anyone wants to go, there's fantastic YouTube videos about the history. It's not just about the history of her character, it's actually the history of Marvel Comics and why they weren't allowed to use certain names, and other comic books having the rights to the names, kind of similar to what's kind of happening in the film world. But she's had about 5 or 6 different names. She's been Captain Marvel, she's been Miss Marvel, she's been Proton and things like that. So that's quite an interesting history of her character.
Yeah. So obviously we're thinking that the mutants is more than likely going to be next Doctor Strange film. But I will bring up the last little bit of tidbit I've seen today. This photo appeared on Instagram, coming up on the screen now, followed swiftly after this photograph, which ties in. I know I've not even told these guys what the photograph is because they can't see it. So the 2 photographs was the 2 characters from the 2 kids, Billy and Tommy. Both of the actors put up a post because they're both in London filming at the same time, and they both put a photo when they were at the same park feeding the same swans. So they're both currently in London filming right now. So
that means they're back in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness because they're filming in London right now. So
I suppose you don't, although you see Vision disintegrating again, but you don't see them, do you? So
that's true. But we hope,
that was your final little extra bit for this episode. But yeah, really good discussion. Really, really, really good discussion. Good show. And I'm looking forward to the next one, which is Falcon and Winter Soldier, is what we're going to see next.
We get on the 18th, we get the Snyder Cut, and the 19th, we get Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep. So we're going to be very busy. We're going to talk about this. Wait, sorry to just distract the flow. Are we getting Snyder Cut as a full thing, or is it getting broken up?
There's six parts there are. I'm not sure how it's getting released.
Oh, I thought that was a joke when someone did that.
No, this looks like it is a
break. It was 6 chapters. They had.
That's what I thought. It's not. It looks like it's getting broken up, Tony.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this just gets.
I'm not happy with it. I'm really not happy with it. I wanted a big, dirty, long, horrendous day of viewing.
If you want to pause it, just pause it.
Yeah.
I've seen. I sat down and watched the 12-hour marathon of Lord of the Rings director's extended cut.
Yeah, so Warner Brothers, there you go. Tony has told you. Don't cut it. Just show us the whole thing.
Show it.
I can't wait for Loki. It looks phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Loki's going to be a belter. So I don't want to keep this episode going. I want to tie up, but there's so many ties that they could have done with that as well, because the Time Variation Authority is the people who deal with Nexus beings. Scarlet Witch is a Nexus being. That should have been a tie-in as well, but they chose not to. That's why I deducted 2 points from you, Wandavision. So there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you.
We can do this all day.